Lord God of all creation, we ask just now that we be cleared, filled, surrounded, and protected with the clear light and sacredness of spirit. We ask for the presence, protection, guidance, and love of the divine beings who work with each of us. And we ask that any imbalance that may be present in our consciousness be taken up into the highest realms of light and sound, where it may be transformed and used in service. We are so grateful for this opportunity to come together in service to our growth, upliftment, and learning as we assist ourselves and each other on our way home. Thy will be done. So be it. Straight up, I'm Dr. C. Love, and I'm glad to get an opportunity to share with you all today. If you've noticed, my background is a little bit different. I decided to let you into, my world that is our world, because in this world, as an educator, I carry the future. It's a lot of responsibility every day. You're talking about hundreds of students, all with different paths and different journeys. And the dynamics of the role that the teacher plays in our society is not the reverence that it once held. So it creates this consciousness where the student knows that they need you, but then at the same time, they don't believe and trust you. And why wouldn't young people necessarily trust teachers? That's interesting conversation in itself. I forgot to set my timer, you guys. And girls and everybody. Because I'll start talking about this, and it's my life, so I can go on and on and on. Ask my friends. I wanted to set the timer so I don't talk too long. So why wouldn't they trust teachers? Well, first and foremost, and by the way, even if it wasn't the teacher who did it, the teacher always carries the responsibility ultimately for what goes on in the classrooms. And a lot of young people do not trust teachers or the educational system because they move and groove through it every day in a way that they feel unseen. As an educator, I believe that you cannot even spell heart without art, and that you need an open heart to learn. So you need art to help open the heart, whether it's music and dance, theater, arts, the fun, the play of it. I mean, I believe that at this point, except unless you're a pro athlete, by and large, we make being an adult look so uninviting. So why would you really want to get prepared for something that you don't want to do? I mean, no, I'm serious. So I'm in the classroom with kids, and I have a very delicate dance. I have to dance in the midst of their hopes and their fears and their doubts and their aspirations and their dreams and their despair. Wow. It's a lot of responsibility. And the ones who you're the mother or the father, you got to do the paper and the pencil every day. Sit up, wake up, pull your pants up, uncover yourself, because that's the new thing, And I don't know why so many teachers are allowing this. Sometimes if it's an art class and it's an artsy type of class and it's a mood, it's a zone. But I know a lot of the stuff that's going on in the class that brings down the whole level of academic elevation. Attire has something to do with it. And then so the kids that have the hat and the hood and they hide. They try to disappear. I don't let them disappear in my class. I found in 23 years that it's been a really good policy to have the kids with, unless it's something special, something's going on. In general, no hats and hoods. Plus, I want to be able to see if they've got things plugged in their ear when they're not supposed to and they can't hear. And so it just takes a lot of stuff off the table. But that's always a battle. Teenagers, imagine getting a room full and you telling this person to uncover. I was like, let me see you. And it also gives me a chance to kind of get a sense of how they're doing. Because some people can have that on and be perfectly fine. And then some people are depressed. Some people might even be, having thoughts about whether or not they have the ability to do this life. So I want to see my students. And so, I challenge them to step up and get to know each other as quickly as possible so we can build that community. And I find that always fun, engaging with the teenagers, actually listening. And even though, I'm talking to this like adults, like ways to say, hey, I'm proud of you, like thinking of anything you can. And that's hard when they're getting on your nerves and you're begging them to do everything in the world. But even community members, when we see young people, I thank young people for saying thank you. When a young person says thank you, I say thank you for saying thank you. And then they'll say you're welcome. And sometimes they'll look surprised. So keeping them connected to family, to community as they go through this phase. It is scary being a teenager. It's scary being a teenager. I remember being a teenager, and our world had a lot of stuff going on, but it wasn't anything like what's even going on right now in our world today. Our world is rough. It's rough, and how do they do it? Like right now in LA, they're saying that the average cost of a 1-bedroom apartment is somewhere around $1,700. What? Like, how do you prepare and plan for that under the construct? Even if they get a job and they're just making minimum wage, they already have to set their lives up to have to live with other people. Now, it might be family that they've already been prepared with, but now you got communication skills stuff going on. You've got the if there was any domestic issues because of the financial responsibilities, they still have to endure whatever that situation. They're not in the position to move themselves just immediately out of that situation. So what does that mean? That means at the level like the engagement. I had a student today. Matter of fact, it was 2 of them, because I always ask my students, and I try to get them one-on-one. So, hey, what you doing with your life after high school? Student says, oh, I'm going into real estate. I was like, all right. Real estate, that's a great profession. But let me ask you a question real quick. What are you going to do to make money while you're building your business? Because real estate is you make money when you sell a property. And there's a lot that goes out before that, from, going to school to take the classes, to take your test, to get your basic real estate license. But then you've got locating buyers, locating sellers, going around and around and around. And even for those who are buying, you have to go to see these properties a lot of times before you take them, especially if you want to build a reputation. I said, so that's a lot of gas money. You got to have a good car, insurance, all of these things. And you're still going to need to eat every day because you never know when that sale is going to be. Students like, I said, but it's you see people, it's a great profession, but you just have to have that daily. So these are often the pitfalls that people can get caught in if they don't have a collective eye on their goals and plans. And I've brought this up a couple of times in different ways. And one of those things is to say that Every student needs to graduate from high school with a graduation plan. I mean, and not just no dotted, like, hey, what you interested in after you get out of school? I've seen those. I mean, I forgot what they call them in our district, and it's not even for, I mean, I think there's one called that, and I think if you've got some special designation, it's something called a transition plan, which is a little bit better, but it's still not enough. I believe I said this on one of the other episodes of Straight Up, and that was that students are graduating to minimum wage with no plan and preparation. And it's very subjective. So if you get a good teacher that's really has that kind of passion to support the students in creating a plan, then that student has a plan. Then you have another student that didn't. Or you have students that's just graduating early. The responsibility for these young people is not alleviated by their graduating from high school, because if they don't have a plan, there is a plan. And they're going to graduate into the social service system if they become a parent and they don't have the money, which they won't, to take care of their children. Then they're going to depend on the social service system to do it. If they get frustrated with life and try to find another way to make it, i.e. go steal some food, steal some diapers, steal some things like that, then they go to jail. If they get frustrated with life and then they decide that they want to start using different substances and things like that, then they can, and all of those other things, domestic violence. I mean, we are just setting these things in motion and causing all kind of commotion because we're not looking at the bigger picture of how you actually break the cycle of homelessness. Because, by the way, that's what all of this stuff leads back to. If rent is $1,700 and you're making minimum wage, you cannot afford to take care of yourself from the beginning. So you are dependent on someone else. So you're not making the choice to live with someone because you want to. You're making the choice to live with someone because you have to. So unhoused or their own housing. Now, some people might not like to count that as unhoused, or the way we used to say it in the 90s was the term I started using when I was running agencies and serving as the chair for the Policy Advisory Council for the Los Angeles Homeless Service Authority. I used to call it without permanent residence. I say, look, you're not homeless. You're without permanent residence. And there could be some spiritual implications to that, like, are we all? But that's not what we're talking about. So somebody that does not have something that is their own, that can be taken from them at any given moment. You living at your brother's house. Technically, you're not homeless. You and your brother get into an argument. Your brother says, get out. Poof. You're unhoused. There's no stability. So in order to break the cycle of homelessness, we have to know that each person is capable of providing for them and themselves, or have that support network in place to the extent that is not an issue. Everybody needs help sometimes. These young people don't have a clue. No time management, no money management, no emotional management. I'm telling you, we can do better. Some of this stuff was created. We might take an economics class or something like that, but we're never actually learning about money, stocks, bonds. My life would have been so much different had we actually used tax dollars in education to teach young people the real basic things they need. like money management, understanding interest rates, all of those things. I got out of there and went to college. Man, I was at the table at college. They had the little nice decorations, and they were handing out water bottles for credit cards. I didn't have a clue. I didn't have a clue. I was a sitting duck. And the hunters were right there waiting on me, along with thousands of others. We get into debt before we ever get out the gate unless somebody knew to teach us different. And is it the parent? Could be, could not be. You take an African American household or some other household where you might not have had that level of prosperity, understand that times have changed. And that the way we had access to money, credit and the credit bureaus and all of these things, all of that stuff was evolving. So parents might not have even known how to teach. They might have been learning along with their children as it comes to this. So it was the school's responsibility, and it's still a responsibility now. I graduated in I won't say, no, I'm proud, Hollywood High School, Performing Arts Magnet class of 1988. Yes. And I didn't learn it then. Much of my adult life has suffered as I've learned and learning those things that could have been embedded in the curriculum. Not just more math class, money math. Not just more English, life planning time. Seriously, deeply, in groups and teams, strategies, plan A, plan B, plan C, something. Anyway, I was on a break, and I was on my time, and I just said, let me go ahead and drop a dime, and I'll be back with more. Stay tuned.
Welcome back. I'm still Dr. C Love, and let's get into what has been in the news. I'm so sad and excited to share with you. In the midst of things that can be really hurtful. Let's talk about, Tyree Nichols. I cannot imagine what those moments for that young man must have been, at the hands of 5 Black men using their authority to do what has been done to us as Black people without impunity in many, many cases. This is Black History Month, so, makes me think about the fact that it took over 30 years for the murderer of Medgar Evers to be brought to justice. And here we are in 2023, and we are beating we. Somebody please tell me why. What could you have been doing? How is that to protect and to serve? Not one said, hold up. Wait a minute. Enough is enough. Stop. And if they did, they spoke up too late. So maybe one did. I wasn't there. I don't know what was going on. And to be honest with you, I haven't even watched the video yet. I've heard enough. I'm not ready. And I know the end result. And in the midst of all of the demonstrations and protests, my uncle Ekpe Abioto, who you hear playing the drums in the opening of Straight Up with Dr. C Love and in the closing of Straight Up with Dr. C Love, he led the procession at the service. And I wanted to share just a little bit of that clip with you as they're walking in. He has a story. He was the drummer, played the flute at the homegoing for Alex Haley, who gave the world Roots, the saga of an American family. And it tells the story of his family, of the journey from Africa in chains to him returning to his family's very village and reuniting with long lost relatives. Let's take a look at this clip real quick as we get into the news. Give me 1 second. I'm going to share my screen. And we're going to go large just for a moment. Here we go. It's my uncle in the hat playing the drum. He just recently finished the book, Don't Touch a Gun, that's going to be joining. What did I do? Sorry, guys. Life's a learning curve. So you see where I looked this up. Okay, there we go. So he is there. Just take that in. Approaching the casket. Want to sending his soul to the next journey. We thank his mother. His mother said that, that she is going to keep his life and his light alive and to do all that she can to make sure that another mother does not have to endure what she's endured, like so many mothers have done over years. We love you, Tyree. We love you, Tyree. God bless and rest your soul. Your work will go on. It's now amplified. And you're in the hearts of millions. We love you, Tyree. And we thank you, Tyree. All right, so I'm going to stop this share. And I am back. It's still going. Wait 1 second. You won't see this, but I am stopping that. Thank you. And we are back here. All right, so, we just have that, so legacies, so many people makes me think about Emmett Till and the charge that his mother had to take on, after what happened to him. And she carried that her whole life. And she made sure that his voice rose and rose and rose. And even until then, young people of this generation know who Emmett Till is, and for all the sad reasons that involve, the fear of law enforcement. Is just heart-wrenching to think 5 brothers did this. I heard there was somebody of another color who was fired and not charged. Again, I haven't seen the video, so I don't know how all the details that went into that, but that's there too. So let's keep moving. In the news, let's talk about the State of the Union address. Now, to me, it doesn't matter if you are Democrat or Republican when it comes to what I am speaking on about right now. When it comes to public decorum, what we expect from our public officials. Y'all need to stop. Y'all need to straight up stop. You are not helping teachers that are teaching young people, hey, it's not okay if you do this, that's rude, that's this, that, and the other. I mean, it's a wrap. All you do is watch State of the Union. People are hollering out while the president of the United States is speaking and using derogatory language, you know, what was it? Liar, it's your fault. I mean, come on. Elected officials, stop. The teacher said, stop. Just stop. It's ugly. And it doesn't even matter what you are yelling about. You are out of order. And you are making all of us in this nation look bad. The world sees that. So how can you expect others to have respect for us when we do not show respect for ourselves? Doesn't matter what political party you're in. Wrong is wrong. And disrespecting the office trumps disrespecting the person. And your behavior is unacceptable. And we don't like it. Quit. Make people think that we don't know who you are. You might just be a bunch of people with fake resumes, just making up stuff as you go along and manage to be a good enough, charismatic person to attract enough people to vote you into office. That doesn't happen in America. All right. Shake that off. Like Mariah Carey said, shake it off. Shake that off. And let's keep moving. Let's talk about something that is good. Damar Hamlin. Remember I said when we first prayed for that young man and sent him lots of love and light, that I knew that his voice came to illuminate with all of its might, and he's doing it already. He's partnered with, I think, the American Heart Association. Even at the Super Bowl, the whole week, they're giving out free CPR lessons. I just happen to personally have had to go to CPR chose to CPR and first aid training since the last episode, because we're taking some young people out of the urban community up into the mountains for a school camping trip, and somebody needed to be certified. So I went and did it. And I was certified for years and years and years. And as things happen and move, I quit getting recertified. But to get that refresher, to remember, what it takes, even when you're pumping the heart, staying alive, staying alive, staying alive. Excuse me, it's so great that is that song, because what are we doing? We're helping people literally stay alive. We are taking our two hands that are on this separate body, and for the moment that we are doing CPR, we are becoming the heart pumper for them. We cause the blood to continue to run through their veins until professionals can get there. So if you are where they are doing those free CPR classes, boom. I think that across the nation, in every public school, at every grade level, that training in CPR should be absolutely included in health class. It's every time you take it. If you have to take it in the 8th grade, you learn it there. If you take it in the 10th grade, you take it there. Because let's just tell the truth. When it comes down to it, it doesn't matter if you're certified or not, if your hands are the hands that are pumping the heart of somebody who has family and friends who love them and want them to live, and they have dreams yet to fulfill. We can all be lifesavers until EMT can get there and take it over. Breath or no breath, breath mask or no breath mask, you never know when you can be the difference between life and death. So Damar, again, thank you. Maybe one day we'll meet and we'll have a great conversation. I definitely have some questions for you. And I look forward to meeting you one day. Godspeed, my brother. Do what you do and do what you're doing, do what you're doing. I read an article that said that, and I'm talking to DeMar, was it, that you might even go back to playing football. Whether you do or you don't, God bless you. And I know your work, your run, your defense, your offense will continue. Keep it up. The world is watching. We see you. We're proud of you. And we love you. Woo-wee. Now, on Wednesday, just a couple of days ago, Burt Bacharach passed away at 94 years old. Many of you all might not know his name, but most of us know his music. One of my favorite songs, What the World Needs Now is Love. That's him. Aretha Franklin's Say a Little Prayer for Me. Raindrops Keep Falling on My Head. And, you know, now he has left this realm, but we know his music lasts forever and his legacy is cemented in all of our hearts when we let the melody play. So take some time. Burt Bacharach, last name Bacharach. Go ahead and plug that into whatever you're listening to, Spotify, Apple Music, Pandora, and just get your vibe on. It's cool, it's smooth, it's uplifting, it's heartfelt, it's reflective. What a legacy, Bert. What a legacy. You did this thing called Planet Earth, and we thank you for leaving your love behind to carry on your work. Next up, my girl, Beyonce. Beyonce is now the winner of the most Grammys of all time. She has 32 Grammys. And I love Beyonce. Beyonce does everything. You want a heartfelt gospel music. You want to get down with the kids with homecoming. You want to show them you know how to get that groove on. You want to take it to the club and do a dance music. Beyonce is living a whole life. And she thanked her beautiful husband and her beautiful 3 children. And we all know because of Lemonade that Beyonce fought for her marriage in the voice, in the medium that she uses in this world, which is words, lyrics, music, picture art. She used it all. And she helped Jay-Z, who also reflected from his side of the story when he released his own music. I loved it. It was beautiful watching him. It was like, wow, anybody ever been in a relationship? We know couples go back and they snip and split, but they did it. They did it on the world stage in front of everybody. And they still managed in the midst of it to do it with class. And the only time that there could have been anything where somebody might have suggested that that wasn't the case, it was still done with class. And the world knew that Beyonce had people that had her back. And in relationships, it's always good for people to know that family is also invested in the relationship. So, and because they were able to move through it collectively, look where they are. You know, with or without Jay-Z, before Jay-Z, Beyonce was already great. But I imagine that having a strong, prosperous, productive, handsome, successful man by your side might make a difference. Might make a difference. And that we see his influence on her freedom through his love and his understanding of the need to value what he has. So congratulations, Beyonce, and congratulations, Jay-Z. And congratulations, Blue Ivy, because I know you were holding them down and telling them, let's work this out. And look at you all now. So proud of you for what you also accomplished, in your young time. So switching gears again. If you're living in the city of LA, you know that the city council implemented several tenant protections, and the intent of the protections are clear: to stop people from losing their homes. To stop people from losing their homes and or their apartments, because these are tenants' rights. So the property is actually owned by somebody else. There has been rent moratorium because of COVID that's been going on for quite a while. I want to talk about the landlords. And why is it important to talk about the landlords? You know how many people want to be property owners? That is a dream of theirs to become real estate owners. So whether it's a home, whether it's an apartment building, whether it's a duplex, a triplex, a quad, these people who do that, if it's not, especially if it's just not a corporation, but it's like a mom and pop property passed down, even maybe. The landlords, have they really been thanked for doing whatever they had to do to hold on to their properties during COVID, while people could just call the COVID card? It's COVID, it's a moratorium, I can't pay. There are so many stories that landlords have had, and there's stories on all sides, but you have to hear all sides of the story. That there was no accountability for people who could actually pay their rent, but were able to take advantage of the moratorium. There was a lot of people that couldn't, a lot of people that were struggling to pay it before COVID, and COVID was a good reason not to. Now, that is the details of that is not my business. But what I will say is this, that the city can consider the impact of these families that own these little properties that house people that have the property. So it sounds good. Let's do it now. You can be a whole month late and you can't get an eviction notice. You have to be over 30 days late. And mind you, a lot of these landlords, they haven't been getting any money at all. Now we're coming out of this. The cost of everything has gone up. But if they raise their rent more than 10%, they've got to pay 3 months, I think, equal of rent. If they raise the rent more than 10%, mind you, this might be on somebody who hasn't even been paying. But if they raise the rent more than 10%, and the tenant decides, you know what, I can't afford this, I don't want to stay, then the landlord has to pay something like 3 months of rent to cover the cost of moving. I guess that's the first and the last in the whatever that is. And also $1,400 plus, I think it's a little more, in moving costs. So the landlords that have been helping prevent these people from becoming homeless are now being put in the position where they themselves might become homeless if they want to try to catch up. I don't know the details. I just know that in this effort to break the cycle of homelessness, we need to be conscientious of everybody's contribution. I mean, and just like the teachers have really been unappreciated for their contribution during COVID, landlords, I think by far and large, have been ignored. And we need to do something for them. If the city is saying these are the things that need to be done because it's important, okay. But I believe that the city needs to offset that, and have some understanding in terms of cost. Is there a reason that the rent needs to be raised more than 10%? Why is this important? Why is this needed? What's going on? I believe that the conversation is not finished, and to just vote this in and have people find this out. I'm not in that position myself, so I don't have anything to gain directly. I do know people that are property owners, and so I know some of their stories. Some of them, clients need to process this. It's a lot of responsibility that the government is putting on the backs of people that cannot carry it. And I know that the underlying fear is that if we don't do this, then we will create more homeless people. And the last thing we want in LA is more homeless people. I understand that. I understand it. But is it right? It's just a question. Is it right to put it on the backs of people who have realized the dream to own property and help provide other people a place to live? Something to think about. Changing subjects again. LeBron James, what up? LeBron James, 38,388 points. He is now the all-time scorer in basketball. He surpassed Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, who held the record for quite a while. And obviously, LeBron James is still in his career, even though he's going to be out. I believe he hurt his ankle or something. And he could use the rest. But when he comes back, he's going to set that score even higher and higher and higher. I mean, he's got many more points to get in his career, but he's done it. So, even to see jump back up, to see LeBron James and Beyonce break these records that have been held for so long, all in the last week and a half, it's good. It's good. Now, I wanted to switch to a very uplifting story, again in the midst of sadness. There's an earthquake. I can't think of the place right now, because then there was another one that was also in Indonesia. But from that first earthquake, I believe it was about 15,000 people or something that they know have probably perished as a result. And yet, in the midst of all of this tragedy, there are stories of rescuers, like sometimes remind me like 9/11 with people getting rescued from the rubble and things. There's this one story of a baby, and I used it in my classroom just today. I was telling the students about the fact that why it's important for them to learn to use their voice. I told my students, I said, do you know that when you were born, you only had one thing. It was your light. That's natural. That's the expression of the human self through the body. Your light. This little light of mine. But you had your voice. You had your voice, and you used your voice for the first year or so of your life to get everything that you needed. You cried. Now I believe, and I do it as a joke, say, you know what your first word was? Everybody's first word in this world is, why? When they stop the baby cries, and I believe the baby's really saying, why? Why am I cold? Why am I here? Why is this happening to me? Why? But you had before you knew any human words that we use, whether Swahili, English, Spanish, Japanese, you name it, Cantonese, whether you name it, Igbo, you name it. You had your voice, and you used it to get everything you needed. You had to cry to let people know that you were hungry. to cry to let people know you wanted that stinking wet diaper off of you. You had to cry when you was like, hey, I need help going to sleep. You cry when you want to be fed, you want to play. You had a voice. So as we go out into this world, that's why public speaking, learning how to speak in school and express yourselves is so important. Toastmasters is important. Some forum where you get to really practice. I mean, they used to do it in school, but that's a lot of things that also is not really happening regularly now. But let me tell you this story about this baby. The baby was found under this rubble alongside his father who had perished. I believe it was other family members who had perished. But the mother, literally, with her dying breath and all of her might, she pushed that baby out of her body and into the world. And she perished too. The child was still connected to the umbilical cord of its dead mother, but used his voice, and the rescuers found him. So the strength of his mother, or her mother, I don't even know, and the strength of his own light and knowing to use his voice or her voice. I mean, that's beautiful. That's just beautiful. And so there's so much going on. I wanted to switch gears just a little bit. I didn't mean to do that. I meant to do this. I wanted to change it up just a little bit. And I wanted to have a little fireplace side chat and share from Kobe Bryant, Mamba mentality. We've been following it. So just help me out a little bit and let's listen. So in this segment, the message from Kobe Bryant, I wish you could see this picture. If you get a chance to get the book, he's sitting in a chair. It looks like his feet are in some type of hydro tank. And he's reading the paper. And he's in a chair that looks very comfortable, by the way. But he wrote, I didn't train only my body. I trained my mind too. The only way I was able to pick up details on the court, to be aware of the minutia on the hardwood, was by training my mind to do that off the court and focusing on every detail in my daily life. By reading, by paying attention in class and in practice, by working, I strengthened my focus. By doing that, I strengthened my ability to be present and not have a wandering mind. Just as important as reading was cultivating relationships with the greats who had come before me. As evidence of this, look at my retirement ceremony and who was there. That will tell you how I managed to get my jerseys up there. You had Bill Russell, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, Magic Johnson, Jerry West, James Worthy. Those guys taught me the lessons. They gave me an edge over my competition. That's why I think it's so important to have those mentors, those North Stars who you learn from and look up to. Thank you, Kobe, for those words of wisdom into the Mamba mentality. It's all of us. And by the way, you're never too old to have mentors. You're never too successful to not know people that know a little bit more than you do. Tap into that. That's why those communications are so important. And you heard it in the clip that I included, that I recorded during my break time at my school, that young young people need to know how to do that, how to get mentors, how to make the connection, time management, money management. Unless we are going to keep creating cycles of homelessness, you break the cycle of homelessness in the classroom. What are the tools that would have enhanced our life? How many times do we say hindsight is 2020? Let us take our hindsight and use it to help these young people have foresight. And we need to do it collectively. They need to hear it in many different ways, and if it's going to be impactful. And I remember, I believe it was in Malcolm X, I saw this little clip. It was a lesson in that. Thank you, Spike Lee. I know that was you worked for that. I remember when you all ran out of money, and then other people who had it was like, come on, we got to tell Malcolm X story. Here's some resources. Here's some resources after it went over budget. Thank you to everybody that contribute. But one of the lessons that I learned in that particular film at that time was something they said, Elijah Muhammad said, and he said, if you give a man a glass of dirty water and that's all there is, then they will drink it. But if you put a clear glass of water next to the dirty water, they will choose the clear glass of water. Preparing these young people for the world that we know that they are living into. Is there a clear glass of water? Give them a choice. Will some people still be homeless? Yes. Will some people still choose drugs? Yes. Will some people still commit crimes? Yes. But let's not trap them where they feel that there is no way out. I'm just saying straight up, we can do better. We can do better at the State of the Union address. I don't want to hear that anymore. That is utterly ridiculous. I'm embarrassed. I'm embarrassed that our elected officials would be yelling at elected official in a public forum in the middle of a speech. It wasn't a debate. That's different. That's just rude. Look like you have no home training. And it doesn't matter. It's not about party, because we are one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. That's the goal. We're not there yet. But is it the goal? Can we agree that it's a goal? I don't believe we agree that it's a goal. But that's what the pledge says, a pledge of allegiance. My pledge. And I'll end the show today with it. Why I wrote it. My students were so unenthusiastic, so hopeful. They see so disheartened. They saw the reality of what they're living, and then it was ritual to do this pledge of allegiance to the United States of America every day. And just day by day, they was just like stuff happening in their neighborhood and stuff. So they were just so down. I said, hey, we can also, let's pledge to ourselves. So that's how I wrote the Pledge of Success in 2000 while I was a teacher at Locke High School, Successful Saints. The pledge says, I pledge allegiance to my success, to be the best person I can be. I see the wonderful soul present within me. When I look at the friends I choose, I see a reflection of me. Together we achieve. Together we reach victory. I pass every test. I am the best of the best. I create my success. I am success. And if you're watching this show, I'm going to ask you to share it with friends. I'm on Twitter, Dr. C Love. I'm on Instagram, Dr. C Love. I am, in different arenas. I've got clips of various things that are available on YouTube. Thank you for joining Straight Up with Dr. C Love, and I look forward to seeing you again on the next episode. And remember, when you're listening to this music, close us out. Those drums played by my uncle Ekpe Abioto, played for Tyree Nichols at his homegoing. Alex Haley at his homegoing. We got more work to do, you all. If we are here among the living, we have work to do. And so my last word